sawdust we needed for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, really.
Well, I guess that one was ready to go. But I also want to have, you know, that extra section that I can use for tapping the Axxis in when I actually have the half split. So we'll cut right out there for the first cut. Then I'm going to use the section up here to make a half. Well, actually, you know what? Why don't I just chop it, say right there, and I can use this bottom section for the haft. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Flatten the top so it makes it easier to find the right axis for hafting and splitting with. All right. So now, what is the straightest axis there? This is actually, this is a good piece of haft wood. This is something harder than a lot of this other scrub that we see in here. I actually think the right axis to have this, the straightest axis, you know, at least what feels like the straightest axis, is where that bit where the bark peeled off there is right up flat against my knuckles on this other side. That seems to be just about right. So I split right there down the center on that axis. That's good. And that's really all you need to do. You barely need to tap the axis in at all because it's so thick. As you can see, it already starts to split the wood just like a wedge. But that's enough right there. So just gentle tapping, and now you see we have that slot where the axis is going to fit into. So what you do is you position the axis right over that slot, just like so. And again, take your stick, your other stick that you cut, and then alternating a little bit between the front and the back, slowly start working the axis down into that split. And you can already see it's nesting perfectly in there. And you see how the shoulders are fitting right over the split. It's kind of hard with that bark in the way there. There you go. You see how the split's kind of right in the middle? That keeps the axis from being able to push forward or back while it's hafted. Same thing with back here. So we'll keep working it down a little bit further. You want to end up with enough wood up here so that you can easily and tightly wrap paracord around it. We recommend 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. That should be more than enough for you. And there we go. Hafted. Okay, I'm gonna go down just a little bit further. Yeah, that feels a little bit better to me. Cool. So now we go do our paracord wrap, get it nice and tight, and do a little bit of chopping. So you will probably ultimately discover a wrapping technique that is ideal for you, but what I like to do is take my piece of paracord, start off with one end, and then I just like to tie a really simple, basic knot. It's nothing special there, but just a little slip knot there so that I have a loop on one end of this line that I can easily pull tight over the top of this haft, and it makes it just a little bit easier to really get your wrap started and start wrapping tight. Now it is important, since, at least for me, since I didn't tie a particularly special knot here, I like to take a few wraps around it and put my lay my paracord over that knot, and you know, the little piece sticking out there just holds it all down nice and tight. But from that point on, it's just a simple process of wrapping as tight as you possibly can. So I am going to put my gloves on and start wrapping it, and you can check back in here with me in a couple minutes once I've made a little bit of progress. These gloves are making it. It's good to have the sheath on while I do this, so I don't cut myself while I'm trying to haft the axis.
That is a good thing.
But so you see, take a look up there. You see how I have taken a number of wraps up here, really tight wraps, and I've laid the line over top of itself, including that original knot. Don't really need much more than that. After this point, start working your way down and lacing it through all of those lashing holes, those open spaces there in the skeletonized frame of the Axxis, so that you can have even compression along both sides of this piece of wood, and it squeezes tightly along the entire top to bottom space and profile of the Axxis. Okay. So to get this tightly wrapped and done well, which is important because you really don't want your axis to loosen on you while you're chopping. So I encourage you to put a lot of muscle into it and pull your lashing as tight as you can. And I would also encourage you to wear leather gloves if you have them, because with thin cord, paracord, bank line, stuff like that, you know, it can be easy to actually create blisters and cut yourself if you're not careful when you're pulling really, really tight on this stuff. But it can take a little while. It can take 10-15 minutes if you're really committing to doing a good job. But the good news is, once you have your axis well hafted, if you have already started off with a really nice piece of hardwood like this, at least until that piece of wood starts to evaporate and dry out, you're really not going to have to worry about tightening your axis. You shouldn't have to if you've done a good job. I've had haftings that have lasted, we had one, I think it was damn near a year.
6 months?
Well, we started it.
You took it off and rehafted it.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it did get tied a couple times.
But
yeah, that's right. We use the same haft again and
but
again.
But the second time,
it was on there for like 6 months. You're right.
You were trying to see if it would rust.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So, and that time, the piece of wood was already fully dry, and so, you know,
but you're still using it.
Yeah, we didn't need to take it off, and of course the Axxis didn't rust. It looked great when we took it off eventually. But yeah, a good tie job should last you a pretty reasonable amount of time. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the lashings most of the way down here. I'm going to take a few more tight wraps around the haft here, maybe 1 or 2 beneath, and then just start laying half hitches over this piece of wood all the way up on top of each other, and kind of working back up and back down, interlacing again through the skeletonized frame until I run out of paracord and kind of finish it off. Alright, so let's go underneath this time. Yeah. As you see, the split does in fact extend beneath the forward-facing trigger there and rear-facing trigger over here. So it's important to, I think, put a little bit of cord, at least 1 or 2 wraps maybe, right beneath there. Doesn't hurt anything. Hopefully helps prevent it from splitting further. Okay.
It goes much faster once the cord is much shorter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the lacing part is the most difficult part of hafting, for sure. But the fact that I'm out here, I'm in the bush, and I'm able to put together a fully functional axe, you know, even if it does cost you a few minutes to do it, if you just have nothing more than some extra cordage or material that you can tear up and or cut into, extra cordage, and the Axxis, you have enough to actually make a fully functional working axe. So, you know, it's a small sacrifice to make, considering if you actually are carrying it into the bush, you're only carrying a 1-pound Axxis instead of a 2, 3, 4-pound axe. And that makes a difference over lots of miles. Oops, baby. And it's making a series of knots that work its way up the haft there. That's how I sort of finish it off, and it still is very easy to get the paracord off if I need to. But each one of those knots holds the total wrap tight, keeps it from getting loose. And what's interesting is, even if this entire thing does start to slide up, it's sliding up into a wider section, so it actually gets tighter and tighter if it does actually start to come loose. It's kind of an interesting thing, but when the Axxis, if the Axxis does move at all, it actually does start to get tighter in here. And when I finish chopping it, it's actually gonna be a lot harder for me to get this paracord off than if I just try to take it off right now. Okay, so we're almost hafted there. I'll do a little finishing knot here, get this tucked away, maybe stick it, see if I can get it stuffed inside the split there so it's out of the way. But that is a hafted Axxis. Here, I'll take the sheath off so you can see it in all of its glory. That might come loose. I mean, that's not a particularly good finishing knot right there. But For the time being, let's just go do a little chopping and see if it holds up all right for us. All right, so I'm gonna do a little test chopping here on this old stump. We chopped this tree down, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, but this is still very much a solid hunk of wood here. So versus chopping down another tree, let's just start with what we've already got here. All right. Okay, so just been chopping for 30 seconds or something there. As you can see, Axxis is rock solid. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, and you can see the trigger is still lined up with the split there. Same thing in the back. And again, that keeps it from pushing or pulling through the split. All right, oopsie. So the Axxis, it does what it's supposed to do. I can definitely finish off my knot there a little bit better. That last loop can sometimes be difficult. So figure out a little tighter way to get that stowed away, but it's on there rock solid. I mean, it's really locked on. This was a good half too. This is really hard wood, whatever this stuff is right here. This may have actually even been the type of wood
from the last half.
That half that we had that lasted so long, it may have been this type of wood. Because this stuff, it's no joke.
The problem is you chop left and I chop right.
Yeah, that is a problem. Well, why don't you chop on the other side? Start on the other side and
Well,
meet me in the middle.
Well, why don't I just try chopping left-handed? I bet I can.
Okay, be careful. Make sure your legs are good and clear.
Okay, all right, let's try it.
Yeah, no problem.
So maybe I'll try chopping right-handed now. It's probably easier.
I'm sure it is. Good chopping, my love.
Thanks, my love. It's a lot more fun than hitting the punching bag. Sorry.